Yeah, it's starting now. So.
Okay.
So in the past 2 days, we spent a lot of time hearing about people's role models. We've had people talk about a star athlete. We've had people talk about their favorite comedian. We've had them talk about their just favorite star in general. And then we've also had a lot of people come up here and talk about their role models in their everyday lives. We've heard about two people came up and talked about their moms, a sister, a best friend. And I'm going to jump on this bandwagon too and talk about my best friend, or talk about my role model. Except my role model isn't famous, and I've never actually met her. Now before you think I'm the biggest creeper stalker person in the world, let me explain. My role model her name is Katie Davis. How do I know about her? Last year, I had a friend call me. She called me up, and we were doing a project. And I said, hey, did you get the PowerPoint done for our big project tomorrow? She said, actually, I haven't. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We need to get this done. And she's like, I found this person's blog, and I've been reading it for the past 5 hours. You have to look at it. And I'm just like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm not going to go blog stalk this person. She's like, promise me, just take like 5 minutes to go look at it. Fine, I'll go look at it. So I get on, I start looking on it, and it's some just cheesy little blog site. It's like Kisses from Katie, and I'm just like, this is so weird. And I get on, and what it is, it's about this college-age girl. And she, instead of going to college, she went to Uganda, Africa. She went to go teach kindergarten for a year. And she started a blog just to talk about the stories that she was learning and these kids that she was loving on there. And she ended up staying there. She didn't go back to college. And so this blog is pretty much just a story of her life. And I sat there for hours reading this like a novel. And I'm not this kind of person to sit for hours in front of the computer, but her blog is so inspiring and so captivating. You just sit there and just tears coming down my face reading this blog. Katie Davis is currently a 21-year-old student, and she lives in Uganda, and this is just a few of her accomplishments. She's the founder and owner of a nonprofit based in Uganda called Amazon Ministries, and it sponsors over 400 kids daily, which gives them education, health care, and just a place to be loved and taken care of. She feeds over 1,500 people daily. Daily, she has that many people coming to her, and she gives them food. And she also has a program where she gives women the opportunity to make these beaded necklaces, if you've ever seen these African beaded necklaces. And she sells them in America so that they can have an income for their families. Not only is she doing all this, she's only 21 years old. She has 13 kids that are legally hers. 13 little girls that are hers. Her life has deeply impacted mine, even though I've never met her. She's a constant inspiration for me, and this is my speech to tell you why. Katie's life has taught me courage, it's taught me sacrifice, and it's taught me faith. First off, courage. At the age of 18, she had to go tell her parents that she felt like she needed to spend a year in Africa to teach kindergarten there. And I don't know about you guys, but if I was to go up to my parents after I graduated high school and say, oh, guess what, parents, I'm going to go to Africa, that wouldn't have gone over very well. And she talks about that in her blog and how that was the scariest thing she's ever done. And even living in Africa, she's living in one of the dangerous places in Africa. She says still, telling her parents that she was going to go there was the scariest thing she's ever done. And for me, that's so much courage, because as I was reading this blog, I was going through a time in my life where I had to tell my parents that I wasn't going to be a nurse, but I was going to go to Nashville and do music business, which is my major. And that didn't go over well either, so I could really relate to her. And she taught me a lot of courage with that. And she has a quote from her blog where she talks about courage. She says, most days, I don't have much of a plan. I don't always know where this is going. I can't see the end of the road, but here's the great part. Courage is not about knowing the path, but it's about taking the first step. And I really believe that is one of the best definitions I've ever heard of courage. Second, She taught me sacrifice. Katie in high school was an honor student. She was a star track athlete. She was homecoming queen, and she had a full ride to go to a great university. She was successful by every definition of the world, or by the word. She could have gone anywhere in this world, but she left it all behind to go love on some poor kids in Uganda. For me, that opened my eyes. I think as a college student, and maybe you guys can relate with this. It's easy to be self-focused. It's easy to think about, my career and, I need to make money and I need to do this. And I was in a point where that's what I was thinking about, and reading about her stories really got me to stop thinking about myself and start thinking about the community around me. Katie says this of sacrifice. She says, the purpose of life is to discover your gift. The meaning of life is giving your gift away. And I can relate to that a lot. I mean, college is all about finding your gifts and building a career and finding something that you can make money off, but also something that you love to do. And for her to say that also not only is that purpose to find it, but to give it away and to really make a difference in this world. I think that is a great role model trait. And lastly, she's taught me faith. Katie would be considered a missionary. She is a Christian, and she is in Uganda loving on these kids. And she really takes her faith seriously. She puts it into action. And I really respect that. And it doesn't matter what religion you are, what you believe in. Like, that's a trait to respect, the fact that she believes in something so much that she's willing to abandon everything to go after that. And also to have faith in such a dark place. She's living in a dangerous place in Uganda. Kids are dying all the time. They're dying of starvation, of abuse, and preventable diseases. She's seen kids die of like a common cold, and it's hard to do anything about it. It would be totally understandable if she gave up her faith. Why believe in God when all these things are happening? But she doesn't. And she writes in her blog about how all these bad things have actually strengthened her faith. And for me, that is just so inspiring because I'm a fellow Christian too. And the hardest thing to believe in a God is, why do bad things happen? That's one of the basic questions. And she really, and just with her life, she really answers that question and really gives you hope. She says this of faith: I do not know my 5-year plan. Even tomorrow will probably not go as I have planned. I'm thrilled and I'm terrified, but in a good way. Some call it courage, some call it foolishness, but I call it faith. Katie's life is truly extraordinary. As I tell Katie's story to you guys today, I can't help but think of every single one of you in this room. We're just ordinary people, but I believe we're destined to do extraordinary things. We are all role models, whether we like it or not. We're role models to the neighbor kid down the street. We're role models to our friends and families. You might even be a role model in this very classroom. I know personally I want to be known as a role model like Katie. I want to be known for my courage. I want to be known that I was willing to take sacrifices for the world, to better the world. And I want to know that I believed in faith, even against all odds. What kind of role model will you choose to be? Thank you.